Another day, another late night edition of Sundry Sports for Thursday, July 23rd, even though it is almost midnight. Oh well. Starting with Cowboys Wire, Van Der Esch went from maligned to All-Pro to maligned again. And I actually read this whole thing yesterday or the day before. And it's kind of a sensationalist headline. I wouldn't say that he's maligned. Some people are just a little worried about his neck not being fully healed. Whatever. I think he'll be good. Cowboys news, preseason canceled. Lawrence, awesome. Dak's MVP chances. Despite only having 5 sacks in 2019, Dallas Cowboys defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence is still getting a lot of preseason recognition as one of the best members of the defensive line. Yeah, since that's news, we'll read that. Still getting a lot of preseason recognition as one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. 4th-round cornerback Reggie Robinson became the 3rd Cowboys rookie to agree to contract terms, but he still has to put ink to paper after he passes the new league in-person intake process. With Byron Jones now in Miami, the position battle at cornerback has become one of the more intriguing competitions as training camp approaches. The Cowboys have a plethora of newcomers who are expected to contribute early, but who will have the most impact? Cowboys MVP candidates, the player profiles of Leighton Vander Esch, Luke Gifford, and Mitch Hyatt, and more are covered in the news and notes. NFL Players Association tells players there will be no preseason and training camp rosters reduced to 80 players. Oh. Well, that sucks for all those guys who might have been able to get to training camp, just wouldn't make the final roster. What are they going to do? And why is the NFLPA telling players that? That should really be up to the NFL. The NFLPA confirmed to the players on a phone call Tuesday evening that there will be no preseason games and the roster for training camp will be set at 80. Van Der Esch went from a line, blah, blah, blah. Leighton Van Der Esch was received with mixed emotions by the Cowboys fan base in 2018, only to become an All-Pro as a rookie. Now he looks to recover from his neck issue that plagued his 2019 campaign and return to dominance. Mitch Hyatt will need to play to his strengths and experience to earn role with Cowboys. Isn't that what everybody has to do? After not seeing any game action in his rookie season, Mitch Hyatt looks to earn his spot on the Cowboys roster through his experience playing high-level collegiate ball at Clemson. In year 2 of 3-year plan, linebacker Luke Gifford will gain value for Cowboys. Luke Gifford made a splash during the preseason in 2019, only to have his season ended with a broken left arm. Now he looks to show his value, and which will provide more strength to an already deep linebacker room. Now he looks to show his value. Okay, whatever. That didn't sound right. Several Cowboys show up as prospective MVP candidates, with Dak Prescott tabbed as the likeliest, only because he's the quarterback. Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott lead the way as potential MVP candidates on the Cowboys for 2020. Dallas Cowboys, the most impactful newcomer in 2020. From Aldon Smith to Trevon Diggs, who will be the Cowboys' most impactful newcomer? I'm going to guess probably CeeDee Lamb, but at the same time, perhaps defenses will shut him down because, they know that he's going to get targeted. But then there's also Amari Cooper and Zeke and Gallup. So maybe defenses won't be able to shut him down every time. NFL likely to allow helmet decals honoring victims of police brutality, but I'm guessing not for any other purpose. In another attempt to listen to the demands of the players, the NFL is likely to allow helmet decals honoring victims of police brutality and systematic racism. I think you mean systemic. People get those words mixed up, but they really are different. Anyway, Yeah, in the past, players have wanted to wear some sort of thing on their helmet for whatever cause they were for, and the NFL wouldn't let them. But all of a sudden, they're just caving to, a certain outspoken crowd. Reggie Robinson II becomes third Cowboys rookie to agree to terms. Fourth-round cornerback Reggie Robinson II agrees to terms on his rookie deal, but he still has yet to take his physical or COVID-19 test, so he hasn't officially signed yet. So they can't sign... What? If they test positive for COVID-19, does that mean they don't get their contract? That is fucked up. You only have it for like 2 weeks. DeMarcus Lawrence is another Cowboy getting preseason recognition. In addition to Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and Amari Cooper, the Cowboys' top pass rusher DeMarcus Lawrence is getting preseason praise as well. NFL Training Camp 2020. Most important position battles for each NFC East team, including Cowboys DBs, defensive backs. Patrick Walker of CBS Sports breaks down how, with Byron Jones no longer on the roster, the battles at cornerback in training camp are crucial. And that's it. Back. Connor Williams has competition at LG for Cowboys, left guard. There's a running joke about the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, there are a lot of running jokes about the Philadelphia Eagles. This one is about how something blah blah blah. I don't really care. March to a different beat. Cowboys ST Ace now gets to work with one of NFL's best. Strong tackle. Cowboys strong tackle Ace now gets to work with one of NFL's best. When looking at the 2019 Dallas Cowboys, there were a few glaring holes to fill, which could be addressed internally. Season opener at Rams is latest Cowboys game to have attendance cut. As long as the game itself isn't cut, since we're in the business of cutting games. Yes, I know it's just the preseason, but the preseason has value. Reggie Robinson II becomes third Cowboys rookie to agree to terms. Yeah, I just heard about that. I'm Batman. Masks required for attendance at Cowboys NFL games. What? Batman? Yeah, guess what? Batman doesn't cover his nose and mouth. Batman specifically covers everything but his nose and mouth. Geniuses. Cowboys news. Tank could skip camp. CeeDee Lamb will tote the rock. In year 2 of 3-year plan, linebacker Luke Gill, blah, blah, blah. 5 most underrated, overrated Cowboys in Madden 21. Don't give a fuck about Madden. Okay, moving on to the ESPN Daily. Good morning. Play, and I cannot stress this enough, ball. Here's your ESPN Daily. Listen up. Let there be baseball. It's a day that seemed like it would never come, but somehow, in a shocking turn of events, it's MLB opening day in July. On today's episode of the ESPN Daily Podcast, ESPN MLB insider Jeff Passan joins from Washington, D.C., where the Yankees and Nationals will begin. 7 p.m. Eastern Time, ESPN. Well, I didn't have to read that because now it's already happened. Whatever. What promises to be the oddest season in baseball history. From testing and safety to Mookie Betts' massive new deal with the Dodgers to where the Blue Jays will be playing, Passan breaks down everything you need to know about baseball in 2020. Things to care about. I see Brock Lesnar. And, other people, whatever. One tug-of-war roster to rule them all. The opening ceremony of the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo would have been this week. Instead, due to the coronavirus panic, the Olympics are postponed until 2021. Is that going to fuck up the schedule forever? Is it all gonna be odd years now? Surely not. I hope they do the next one in 3 years instead of 4 to get back on the right track. One sport that won't be there, tug of war. But once upon a time, it was. That's right. When legendary American athlete Jim Thorpe traveled to Stockholm for the 1912 Games, he did so with an American team of tug of warriors. This summer marks 100 years since your favorite elementary school field day event was held high as an Olympic event, so we decided to see what star power could do for tug of war. With the help of 6 ESPN writers, including me, we drafted an 8-person all-star tug of war squad with these rules. Active players slash coaches from any country, 8 players per side. One has to identify as female. Why? One of the male participants has to weigh less than 150 pounds. Why? One male has to be shorter than 5'7". No more than 2 team members can come from the same sport. No professional strongmen. Because I'm sure you're dying to know the bold strategy that saw one Jadeveon Clowney taken with the number 1 overall pick. Here it is, in my own words. Shameless self-promotion much? Okay, that's long. On the morning of the draft, I felt good. I had identified all the prime prospects and was teetering comfortably on the dangerously thin line between confidence and hubris. Then I got word that I had landed the number 1 overall draft position, and something strange happened. All my plans to select LeBron James, Brock Lesnar, and Aaron Donald suddenly felt obsolete. I became consumed with acquiring the ultimate sleeper pick, NFL free agent defensive end Jadeveon Clowney. Blame it on a recent re-air of the 2013 Outback Bowl, but I was a woman possessed. I knew I had to risk it all to secure a man haters will say is washed in his own sport. Clowney became the centerpiece of my roster. His size, strength, and speed are that of a veritable tug-of-war god. Tell me who is moving that man when he anchors down. Nobody. From there, it became about intangibles. I needed fierce competitors who would bring an insatiable work ethic, one that my franchise player has been rumored to lack. Cue Serena Williams. I also needed athletes who wouldn't back down to anything. Cue Steve Adams, John Jones, and Yasiel Puig. Oh, and Saquon Barkley's quads were made to do tug-of-war battle. Change my mind. Okay. That's very silly. Although sad that tug-of-war can't be an Olympic sport anymore. Okay, so obviously I didn't know that it used to be, and it's probably been a long time since it was removed. But, yeah, it would be cool if it still was. The power of pinstripes. Garrett Cole is a New York Yankee. Although the concept might take some adjusting to for Cole fans, for the star pitcher who grew up rooting for the Bronx Bombers, it makes perfect sense. Cole has told stories of rushing home from school in Southern California to catch Yankees games, which played in the late afternoon because of the time difference. The Coles attended Games 6 and 7 of the 2001 World Series when 11-year-old Garrett held that now famous faded pinstriped sign that read, "Yankee fan today, tomorrow, forever." Suffice it to say, he always believed that one day he would wear pinstripes. It didn't hurt that when the Yankees were trying to seal the deal, they brought in a persuasion tactic by the name of Andy Pettitte, a.k.a. Cole's favorite player. Petite reiterated one sentiment that Cole needed to hear. He could be himself in New York. Okay. A day inside MLB's COVID-19 protocols. That sounds awful. Gone are the days of kicking it in the clubhouse, high-fiving after a tater, sharing meals, signing autographs, and posing for photos with fans. That's so depressing. In the pre-coronavirus world, players encountered hundreds of people on a regular basis. But now MLB has 100-plus pages of rules to keep players, coaches, umpires, and team staff apart and healthy. Maybe physically healthy, but that is not mentally or emotionally healthy, and may also not be physically healthy because you're compromising your immune system. People were meant to mingle with other people. We were meant to encounter germs all the fucking time. When you sanitize your world, you're gonna get sick more often. That's just the way it is. This is so frustrating. A few measures will be visible to fans on TV, but many others will unfold behind the scenes. We mapped out a day. Spoiler alert, there are tiers involved. Lots of tiers. To determine the number of people an average player might encounter, if he lives and plays by the book. I would try to summarize it here, but as I often say when opting out of writing a text message novella to a friend, it's too much to type. Things to watch. Baseball Tonight Live. Baseball is back, baby, and so is Baseball Tonight in a whole new format. Clinton Yates, Gary Strewski, and June Lee host as we take our talents to the ESPN app, Twitter, and Facebook from 6:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, to preview the opening day doubleheader. Get into it. Overheard. If I was on a team that didn't have title aspirations, it might have been different, but we've worked too hard. Don't all teams have title aspirations? Alex Caruso on missing his sister's wedding to stay in the NBA bubble. Hey, man loves his craft, that's good. Remember when? On this date in 1996, an injured ankle didn't stop Carrie Strug from pulling off the most clutch vault in Olympic history. Her 9.712 clinched gold for Team USA and produced one of the most iconic sports images of all time. This is the first I've seen of it. Until next time, remember, I typically opt out of fantasy baseball because it demands a commitment I'm just not able to offer. 1 minute I'll be vying for the pennant, the next my starting pitcher has been on the D for 3 weeks. It's exhausting and low-key humiliating, but this season is different. Even I can lock in for 60 games. Also, not for nothing, but there's nowhere to go, so setting a lineup sort of sounds cathartic, but I digress. You can join me in my quest but for total fantasy domination right here. This has been your ESPN Daily for Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. And that was a lot of baseball talk. Moving on, last and usually least, Yahoo Sports Read and React. Dodgers sign Mookie Betts to monster 12-year deal. 1 week out, Blue Jays still don't have a home. Sad. Somebody build them a nest. Jets owner denies making disparaging remarks about race and gender. Okay. You know who makes disparaging remarks about race and gender like all the fucking time? Everybody who bitches about white people and men. Could Sentinels be Washington's new nickname? Oh, you mean the Washington Redskins? Ex-UConn star Stanley Robinson dead at 32. Most Likely to Succeed by Dan Wetzel. Welcome to opening day of the 2020 MLB season. Will it last? Well, that's the question we're posing today. Which among North America's 5 most popular team sports has the best chance of overcoming the hurdles of the coronavirus to complete its season? Here is a prediction from most likely to succeed to least likely. NBA. Start date July 30th. The NBA will spend at least $170 million on its bubble at Disney World in Orlando. The protocols are stringent and seemingly nothing has been left to chance. There is even a snitch line. Already there has been success. 1 week in and there were 0 positive tests among the players. The guys will be breathing all over each other during games, but if there is no virus inside the bubble, then it shouldn't matter. NHL. Start date July 28th. Exhibition games. The NHL has constructed 2 bubbles, one in Toronto and one in Edmonton. The entire operation will move to Edmonton for the conference finals in September. While teams haven't entered yet and we don't know all the particulars, the rules are slated to be similar to the NBA. As an added bonus, both bubbles are in Canada, where the coronavirus is far less prevalent. It's impossible to social distance, but this will be about the strength of the bubble. Considering the limited risk in Canada, the chances of the NHL making it seem pretty high. Yeah, you know what else is also a limited risk? Being an athlete. Being a healthy, young, vibrant, virile athlete. MLB. Start date July 23rd. We now enter the we're trying to operate within a panic stage of the list. There will be no bubble for baseball. It was seemingly impossible. Teams will play at their home stadium, except for Toronto. They'll travel, they'll sleep at home, they'll be around their families, they'll just exist. The likelihood that a team can make it through the 60-game season without a player testing positive is unlikely. Making it is certainly possible. It's going to be bumpy, though. NFL. Start date September 10th. This is going to be a matter of where there is a will, there will be a way. If the NFL is going to make it, it will have to just power through. Players are going to get the virus, and it will probably spread across teams, which will need to just bring in more and more players off the street to fill in the gaps. But there are billions at stake, and this is a league that likes to think blunt force can overcome nearly anything. If they're going to be putting plastic masks over on their helmets, can't the asymptomatic people still play? College football. Start date August 29th. Good luck. College football is easily the most challenging sport to make work during a panic. There are 130 teams in the highest division. They come from 43 states in big cities and tiny towns and represent huge state schools, small private colleges, religious institutions, and even military academies. Diversity and chaos is part of the beauty of college football. It's a big challenge now, however. Of all the sports, this one faces the steepest road to just starting, let alone finishing. You know, you talk like you're some expert, like you have knowledge of what happens during a pandemic. And yet, we've had multiple pandemics in the past few decades. And the reaction to this one is completely unprecedented. All this worry over sports and whether or not we're going to even have college, that's completely unprecedented. You really don't know what you're talking about. Feedback. Thanks for all the feedback on our Goat of Goats series. Many of you agree with crowning Wayne Gretzky, but not everyone. Jim Thorpe, followed by 25 lines or so of accomplishments, probably the biggest omission on our list of contenders. You forgot about Kelly Slater. Well, we didn't. We just didn't include surfing, but we can say this with confidence. Kelly Slater is winning at life, big time. Joan Joyce. Gotta admit, had to look this one up. Turns out she was a hell of a softball player. Any of you people ever heard of Bill Russell? No, we haven't. What did he do? In all seriousness, there were a lot of greats who didn't make the bracket, including an 11-time champion, which says something about the competition. Predictions. Our staff picks who they think will win the World Series. Leander. Christian Pulisic has officially arrived in the Premier League. Brown. Dodgers betting their future on the arm and bat of Mookie Betts. The kicker. Block and pop. When you're 7'2", as Basebaaalll is, are you really supposed to be able to do both? Okay. Thanks for reading today's issue of Read and React. Follow Yahoo Sports on social. Goodbye, Yahoo, and goodbye to all, and to all a good night.